Most couples know how to share a home, a bed, even a bank account. But when it comes to sharing their inner world, that's where the gap shows up. What's keeping you from letting your spouse all the way in? So today, we're going to cover what emotional intimacy, what it really looks like, why it feels risky, and how you can create a safe space for vulnerability that deepens your bond. Welcome back, Uplifting Life Partners, to Simplified Uplifters Marriage Mastery Podcast, cultivating extraordinary connections. It's the podcast that is dedicated to giving you the tools to build, repair, and strengthen the foundation of your relationship so you can have a stronger, more joyful, and resilient marriage. I'm your host, Ron Simplified Myers. Let's ignite possibilities together. So this is our Marriage Builder Sunday episode, and today we're diving into the topic of emotional intimacy. But first, let's start off with the difference between physical and emotional intimacy. Because physical and emotional intimacy, they often get confused. But family, I'm going to tell you, they're not the same. See, physical intimacy is the touch, the closeness. The sex is body-to-body connection. And then the emotional intimacy, it goes deeper. It's heart to heart, the mind to mind. Here's the key. You can have one without the other. See, a couple can share a bed, but not share their souls. Or they can share their inner world, but rarely touch. The strongest marriages, they learn to balance both. See, again, the physical intimacy, it's the hand holding, the hugging, the kissing, or as we said, the making love. And those are beautiful expressions of connection. But then that emotional is when you can say, I'm scared about losing my job. Or sometimes I feel insecure about my body. And you know your spouse won't judge or reject you. See, one fuels the body, the other fuels the soul. Without emotional intimacy, physical intimacy, it starts to feel empty or like a transaction. And then without the physical intimacy, emotional intimacy, you feel more like it's a friendship, more than romance. So let's go to Simone and Khalid. They've got chemistry, they laugh together, they enjoy date nights, and yes, they do share the same bed. So from the outside, people would assume everything's great. But here's the wall. Whenever Simone tries to go deeper, when she asks Khalid about his fears, how he's really doing, he shuts down. He changes the subject, he gets quiet, or he even gets defensive. Now, it's not that Khalid doesn't love Simone. And the wall isn't about love. It's about safety. Somewhere in his life, Khalid learned that opening up, it equals weakness. And unfortunately, most men have been taught that. They believe that sharing emotions equals weakness. Or it can mean risk. So physically, they're close. But emotionally, Simone feels alone. And over time, if that wall doesn't come down, the physical closeness, it'll start to fade. See, emotional intimacy is built when two people can show their truest selves without fear of rejection. It's the moment when your spouse knows those parts of you that are messy, vulnerable, and a little scary. And they lean in instead of pulling away. That's intimacy. That's safety. That's where love grows, the roots. So here's a few examples. A husband hugs his wife before leaving for work. That's the physical. But then emotionally, he adds, I'm nervous about the presentation today. Can you say a prayer for me? See, the hug is nice, but the sharing, it deepens the bond. So ask yourself, in your marriage, do you have the physical intimacy, the emotional intimacy, or both? And what's one step you could take this week to deepen the emotional side? Well, of course, that's going to lead us to the conversation on barriers to the vulnerability. Because see, vulnerability, it's the doorway to intimacy. But let's be real. It's not easy to walk through. Because see, again, most of us have learned somewhere along the way that being vulnerable, it equals being unsafe. And once we pick up that lesson, we carry it into our marriages. But here again is the truth. One dismissed moment can build a wall. But one safe moment, it can start to break it down. So here's comment block. Your partner, your wife, they want to share that she feels unattractive after having kids. The fear is, what if he thinks I'm weak or I'm needy? A husband, he wants to admit he's anxious about the finances, but inside he's thinking, what if she loses respect for me? This fear of judgment, it keeps couples living behind a mask instead of in connection. See, how about childhood experiences? Many of us were raised, again, like guys, big boys don't cry, don't talk back, be strong, don't be sensitive. Those lessons, they don't disappear just because you say I do. They show up when we bite our tongue, bottle things up, or laugh off what hurts. How about a past betrayal? Someone opened up in a previous relationship. Maybe they shared a dream, an insecurity, or a failure, and it was used against them. Now, the new partner, you got to pay for those old wounds. See, because vulnerability, in that case, it feels like a risk not worth taking. So now, let's go back to Simone and Khalid. One evening, Khalid tried to open up about struggles at work. He told Simone he was overwhelmed. He felt like he was failing, and he needed encouragement. But Simone, without even realizing the weight of the moment, she just brushed it off. She said something like, "You'll be fine. You always figure it out." Her words, they weren't meant to harm. But to Khalid, it felt like dismissal. That one moment taught him, when I share, it don't matter. Better to keep it inside. So he built a wall. And over time, Simone kept running to the wall every time she tried to connect deeper. Not because Khalid didn't love her, but because he didn't feel safe being vulnerable. The danger is this. One dismissed moment, it can echo for years. But here's the good news. The opposite's also true. One moment of safety where your spouse leans in, listens, and says, "Thank you for trusting me with that." That can start breaking down the wall, brick by brick. See, vulnerability, it grows when safety is consistent. Every safe response makes it easier for your partner to risk opening up again. Here's again another application. Your spouse says, "I'm worried about our finances." Don't say, "You're overreacting." Instead say, "I get why that scares you. Let's figure this out together." When your spouse shares, "I feel invisible lately," don't say, "That's silly." Instead say, "I never want you to feel that way. Tell me what would help you feel seen." Think about your own relationship. Can you remember a time your vulnerability was actually dismissed? Or how did it shape your willingness to open up again? And here's the flip side of that. When was a time your spouse actually responded with safety? How did that deepen your connection? Okay, let's talk about how we can create the safety for vulnerability. Because we've talked about vulnerability is hard and the barriers that get in the way. Now, let's shift to how you can actually create a safe environment so your spouse feels free to open up. Now, I like to use what is called the SAFE. It's an acronym. It's a simple method you can use to remember how to respond in those tender moments. The SAFE stands for S, slow it down. A is accept. F is feel together. And 4, encourage. Number 1, slow down. Vulnerability doesn't happen on demand. You can't say, "Okay, babe, tell me your deepest fear in the next 5 minutes." Folks, you know it don't work that way. You build safety by starting small. It can be sharing a little frustration and gradually moving to deeper wounds or dreams. If Khalid comes home and says, "Work was rough today," Simone doesn't need to pry with 10 questions. She just needs to pause, lean in, and say, "You want to talk about it?" That gentle slowing down tells him there's time and space here. Number 2, accept. When your spouse shares something, Your first job isn't to fix it, debate it, or dismiss it. Accept it. And folks, if you've heard me say this before, accepting doesn't mean you agree with everything they feel. It means you respect that this is real for them. Here's maybe a wrong way to go about it. That's not true. You're overthinking. Here could be a good way to respond. I hear that you feel overlooked. That must be painful. See, because acceptance, it gives permission to feel. Number 3, feel together. This is about validation. Vulnerability grows when both partners are willing to sit in the emotion together instead of trying to rush past it. Khalib says, I feel like I'm failing at providing for us. Now, this may be a wrong way to do this, Simone. Oh, don't be silly. You're fine. Now, here's possibly a good way to say it. It sounds heavy. I can understand why you'd feel that way. I'm glad you told me. Now, Khalib doesn't feel crazy. He feels seen. Number 4, encourage. Once safety is built, you can gently invite your spouse to go deeper, not by pushing, but by opening the door. Simone might say, I appreciate you sharing that. If you're ever ready, I'd love to know more about what's on your heart. See that encouragement? It signals it's safe to bring more next time. Now, here again is a role play on the wrong way. Oh, come on, it's not a big deal. See, Khalid's reaction, he's going to shut down. The wall's going to go up. The conversation, it dies. And here again, it may be a better approach. This sounds, again, like we said, it sounds heavy. I'm glad you shared that with me. That way, Khalid's reaction, he breathes easier. He feels respected. And he opens up more. Notice the difference. One response closes the door and the other one, it cracks it wider. So here's another example of the slowing it down. Instead of interrupting, Simone says, take your time. I'm listening. The acceptance, Khalib hears Simone say she feels invisible. And he replies, I didn't realize you felt that way. Thank you for trusting me with that. The feeling together. They sit on the couch. They holding hands while she cries about missing her mom. No quick fixes. Just being present. Encourage. He ends with, whenever you're ready to talk more, I want to be here for you. Safety for vulnerability. It isn't about grand gestures. It's about small, consistent responses that show you're safe with me. Your feelings matter here. Remember, one dismissed moment can build that wall. One safe moment, it can start to break it down. So here's the challenge for you this week. I want you to practice the SAFE model. Next time your spouse shares, even if it's something that's considered small, slow down, accept it, feel it with them, and encourage more. And watch what happens. Here's a question for you. Which part of the SAFE model do you need to grow in most? Is it the slowing down, the acceptance, the feeling together, or the encouraging? And how could you put that into action this week? All right, so that brings us into practices to build the emotional intimacy. See, family, here's the truth. Emotional intimacy isn't built in one big breakthrough conversation. It's built in the small daily habits that send the message, I see you, I hear you, and you matter. Think of it like going to the gym. You don't get strong after one workout. You build muscle through consistent reps. Emotional intimacy, it works the same way. So number 1, emotional. Do some check-ins. These are quick daily moments where you pause and ask, what's on your heart today? How's your spirit right now? It's more than just, how was your day? It's a deeper invitation. See, over breakfast, Simone asked Khalid, what's one thing weighing on you today? He shares, he's nervous about a project at work. And instead of pushing past it, Simone replies, thanks for letting me in. I'll be rooting for you. That 2-minute exchange, it builds connections. Number 2, schedule vulnerability. Set aside regular time to go deeper. It could be a weekly coffee, a walk after dinner, or Sunday morning talks before you go to church. By scheduling it, you send the message, your inner world matters as much as our to-do list. See, a couple commits to the Saturday morning coffee, where they each share one win, one struggle, and one dream for the week, that rhythm, it becomes their emotional reset. Number 3, mirror support. This is about matching your spouse's upset with calm presence instead of reacting. If one person is a storm, the other becomes the anchor. Khalid comes home. He's frustrated after work. And instead of Simone snapping back with, "You're always in a bad mood," she quietly listens, touches his arm, and says, "I can tell today drains you. You want to vent or you just want to sit for a minute?" That calm energy, it helps regulate his emotions instead of escalating them. Number 4, celebrate sharing. Every time your spouse risks opening up, even if it's messy or hard, celebrate it. Appreciation fuels more vulnerability. Simone admits, "I've been feeling insecure about how I look lately." Khalid could brush it off, but instead he says, "Thank you for telling me. And I love you exactly as you are. And I'm glad you trusted me with that." That moment, it not only comforts her, it reinforces safety for the next time. So this is how this looks in practice. This couple, Simone and Khalid, they commit to a 15-minute nightly talk. No phones, no TV, no distractions. Sometimes they talk about deep fears, other times it's just sharing gratitude or just laughing about the day. Over time, that ritual becomes their safe space. It's not about the length, it's about the consistency. That nightly check-in, it tells both of them, "You are my priority. I want to know your heart." See, what started as awkward small talk, it grew into one of the most intimate parts of their marriage. Why? Because emotional intimacy is built on repetition and reliability. And here's the beauty. None of these practices are complicated. They don't cost you any money. They don't require hours of free time. What they require is intention. A 2-minute check-in, a weekly deep talk, a calm presence when your spouse is upset, a thank you when a partner opens up. Stack those little moments and you'll look up one day and realize your marriage has a depth it never had before. So here's reflection time. What's one daily or weekly ritual you and your spouse could start this week to create space for emotional intimacy? Remember, again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be intentional. So folks, let's bring this all home. Family, intimacy doesn't grow by accident. It grows through safety, small steps, and consistency. Safety means your spouse can share without fear of judgment or rejection. It's those moments when you lean in and say, "Thank you for trusting me with that." Small steps, they matter more than the big leaps. You don't need a 3-hour heart-to-heart every night. Sometimes it's just the 2-minute check-in or a gentle, "How you really doing?" See, because consistency, it's the glue. Intimacy grows when you show up again and again with presence. Not perfectly, but faithfully. Here's reflection time again. Here's a question for you to carry for you this week. What's one thing I've been holding back from my spouse? What small step can I take this week to share it? Maybe it's a fear you've never voiced. Maybe it's a dream you've been keeping to yourself. Maybe it's just saying, "I miss you." Whatever it is, take one brave step toward letting your spouse in, because intimacy, it deepens every time we risk sharing our hearts. And here's your challenge. Start tonight. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Create a safe space. Again, no phones, no distractions. Just share one small truth from your heart. Then, when your partner opens up, thank them for it. Even if it's simple, even if it's messy. Celebrate the courage to share. That's how intimacy grows. Not in grand gestures, but in everyday moments where we say, "You're safe with me." So family, I want you to imagine if every night this week you just took 10 minutes to connect like that. By the end of the week, your marriage would already feel closer, stronger, and definitely safer. So family, I want to thank you for taking your time. And we'll be back next week for another Marriage Builder Sunday episode. And I want you to remember to visit the Simplified Uplifters, the Marriage Mastery Facebook page that we actually set up specifically so that you would have a place that you can communicate with us in a much more personal, easier way to get to us. And then for more exclusive training, deeper dives, our app, and the clothing apparel, we've placed all the information in the bio of this particular podcast, or you can visit the website, simplifieduplifters.net. And if you found value in today's episode, we would appreciate, that's the word, you sharing this episode in the podcast itself with those that you know need to hear this message. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Simplified Uplifters Marriage Mastery Podcast so that you don't miss our upcoming Self-Love Wednesday. Well, we'll explore individual areas to strengthen your journey towards self-love. I want to thank you again for joining me on this transformative Marriage Builder Sunday episode. And until next time, nurture your soul, protect your energy, be kind to yourself, and build the marriage of your dreams. Most important, remember your power. You are extraordinary.